Hey guys, Eric here with Tried and True Review. Hope everybody's having a great day. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you guys how to install carpet. This is going to be a carpet over pad installation on an existing wood subfloor in what is going to be my master bedroom. I kind of got put under the gun. I'm not really ready to put carpet in here yet. But I've got my new bedroom set coming tomorrow and they're going to be setting it up and I simply can't put them off any longer. So today we're putting carpet in. That shouldn't be too hard of a job for me. I did it as a profession for over 30 years. So I kind of know what I'm doing. I'd like to think so at least. I did it up until just a couple of years ago when I actually hurt my knees and well, my knees were getting to where they were starting to bother me, and I went and drove truck for a living after that. Something I probably should have done about 20 years ago. But installing carpet isn't a tough thing to do. I think just about any able-bodied person can do it with the right tools and a little bit of know-how. And hopefully today I'll give you guys some pro tips on how to do this correctly and make it a job that's pretty easy to do for anybody. Most of the tools that we use for the trade you can rent either at flooring supply companies. If you look in the yellow pages or Google wholesale flooring supply companies in your area, you'll be able to rent tools there. Also, I think Home Depot probably rents most all of them as well. So I'm not going to show you anything that's not available for you guys to be able to use. Today's going to be a pretty basic installation. I'm just doing the main part of my master bedroom. I won't be seaming any pieces of carpet together in this part of the video. This video is probably going to be I'm guessing about 3 parts. We're going to get kind of detailed on what we're doing so that hopefully we can answer any questions that are out there. This part here will just be the main area in my master bedroom, and it's under 12 feet wide. It's just over 11 feet wide, and I think we're about 16 feet long. In the part that we're doing today. It is a little bit longer. The room's actually about 21 feet long, but the part we're going to do today is only about 16 feet, and it's under 12 foot wide, so we won't have to seam anything together. Normally carpet comes 12 feet wide, so we'll be good without seaming today. We will cover that in the next video, part 2. We'll be doing seaming some carpet together, so you guys will get an idea how to do that. And then part 3 will probably be when I do the stairs going downstairs. So I'll show you guys how to install carpet on stairs and to do that properly as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the camera around and face it at the ground here so you can see what we got going on. Okay, so this is basically the room where we're going to be installing the new carpet. We've got a couple of heat registers. We have one there on the floor, and then we have another one over here. We'll deal with those as we get to them. And then you can see I've been putting in my baseboards and my door casings. I don't have them all done yet. That's going to be my closet in the master bedroom. And I don't have a very big closet, but I don't have a whole lot of clothes. And obviously I haven't finished doing door casings on these doors, which is why base isn't up yet. I need to get the door casings done first. I'm still working on the one in there, and then the one going into the master closet as well. So I still need to finish getting baseboard up in those rooms before I can put carpet. You don't have to get your baseboard in before you install your carpet, but it makes things finish off a lot nicer if you do. So I intend to do that, even if it takes me a little bit longer. I still have to case in my windows, which will be the same, and this window here, which will be the same, done in the same style as that door right there. I'm kind of doing a farm style look. I like the looks of it. I'll be casing around, even though this isn't actually a door right here in front of me, I'll be casing around that one as well, just to make things look a little more, make them look a little bit more the same. I've lost what I'm trying to say there. Sorry guys if I mumble a little bit today. I got about 3 hours of sleep last night, so I'm kind of stuttering as I go here, but we'll make it through. So the first thing I want to talk about is my base part. I don't know if you can notice. I'll get down here a little closer so you can see a little bit more, maybe. But I've got a gap on my between the floor and my base. Here we go. You can see that a little bit better, and it's about between 1/4 and 3/8 of an inch gap between the subfloor and the baseboard all the way around. I've already got my tack strip laid out here, so it's kind of hard to see. The idea behind that is to be able to tuck the carpet down on the other side of the tack strip and under the baseboard, and it finishes off really clean. The old style of building, almost all your new buildings, new houses and everything are done this way, but the old style, you used to put the base straight down on the floor and then tuck into the base, and it just cleans up a little bit easier if we do it this way, so that's what we try to do. The other thing, the first thing we're going to do after having our floor prepped, by the way, this old wood floor that's actually here on the floor is going to be our subfloor we're going to go off of. If this floor would have been in better shape this floor actually had tile on top of it, had HardieBacker and ceramic tile all over this entire house. I tore all that up, and that was a chore, but I did it anyways, to get to the subfloor and to make everything one level, where I put my laminate in places. You see here where we have laminate in the hallway, and out into the living room in there, I tore it out, all the tile and HardieBacker out as well. If this floor would have been in better shape, I would have restored it and used the old hardwood floors. This home was actually built in 1934, so at this point it's 85 years old. This house has been added onto and changed and repaired many, many times as far as in its 85-year history. And the floors are really beyond what I wanted to spend to fix. Yes, it probably could have been done, but it would have been very cost prohibitive, and I didn't want to do it. And I like, as an old carpet layer, I like carpet in my bedrooms. Wherever I'm going to be kind of barefoot in the house, I like to have carpet. And my bedroom and the sitting area in the living room are actually the only places that have carpet in this house, along with the bedroom closets. So anyways, what we do first is we come in and we install our tack strip. These are our little tack strips, and you want to be really careful with these. They got really sharp nails. I don't know if you can see those little teeny nails right there. I'll turn them up for you. They can really bite you and make for a bad day. These nails all aim a certain direction. If you want to look here, you'll notice, if I can get the camera to focus, you notice they all aim towards my thumb here a little bit. They're all pointed that way. That's the direction you want to aim towards the wall. Most modern tack strip has these little arrows like that there. That tells you that's how you point it to the wall. You want your tack strip to run in that direction. The idea is that that's what's going to grab the backing of the carpet and hold it in place. If it's tipped the other way, if the nails were pointing this other direction, or if I were to put it on backwards, which even after 30 years I do once in a while on accident, I have to end up replacing it. If I put it on that way, what's going to happen is when I stretch the carpet onto it, instead of the carpet being able to go over and lock onto the tack strip, sorry guys, I'm trying to do this with my hands full. Instead of the carpet being able to go over and lock onto the tack strip and pull back against it as it's being stretched, and that's what locks it into place. Otherwise, it would just fall off the nails. It would come right up and over and not be able to hold its stretch. We don't use, the only thing I use a knee kicker for, and you'll see videos out there showing rooms getting stretched in with a knee kicker. The only thing I use a knee kicker for is to get things in place. I will use them on stairs. I use a knee kicker to put my stairs on, I have to. But as far as putting this room in and getting it stretched, your knee kicker cannot put the kind of stretch on the carpet that will keep it from wrinkling up later. My power stretcher has a whole lot more pressure on it and can really stretch the carpet in good. Nobody's knee is that strong, so we don't even try. I use a knee kicker to get things into place, to line them up the way I want them to be. I'll use a knee kicker a little bit in the closets, tight areas where I can't actually get my stretcher. But I've got some adapters for my stretcher that I can actually get it into most places and be able to go most directions. So I won't use a knee kicker much. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pound all this tack strip down. Now tack strip comes pre-nailed. It comes with little nails already to install with and to nail it into the floor. I had the wrong nails in this tack strip. I have an old box of tack strip that had actually nails in it that were designed to use on a concrete application. Or we're going into wood. What I did is I just took out the little 5/8 inch concrete nails that were in there, and I'll go ahead and drive all this in with wood nails. One thing you want to be really careful with when you're putting this tack strip up, I did a pretty decent job of putting all this base in and painting it and caulking it in and keeping it nice and clean. I don't want to hit it with my hammer. And I swing a big hammer. It's not really long. I've cut the handle off short, but I actually swing a 32-ounce Vaughan framing hammer that I've had since, well, about 30 years. I've had it for a long, long time. And it's something that I'm really accustomed to, and it sets these nails in real quick. But on the other hand, if I hit the baseboard, it also does a lot of damage. And yeah, I've had to repair the baseboards in the past. I haven't had to do it in a long time. But at this point, I haven't installed carpet in over 2 years now. I've been a truck driver, and so I'm going to be a little bit rusty. So I'm going to take my time and start slow and hopefully be careful. So I'm going to set the camera down and well, I'm going to actually set it up on a tripod so it can watch me work, and we'll get started on installing the tack strip. Hey guys, I hope you can see what we got going on. I hope you can hear me. I don't have an external microphone for my phone, which I'm using to record on. So I'll kind of try to speak up, but it echoes pretty good in here. So what we're going to do is we're always going to want to space our tack strip out well, let's see what we got. This is the spacing I like to have, and it's about 3/8 of an inch away from my wall. And I'm going to run it out, and I'm just using these to cut it with, a big pair of tin snips. And I just eyeball things. I don't measure with my tack strip unless I absolutely need to. I don't need to here by any means. And the wall in this house curves just a little bit. Maybe the tack strip curves the other way, but that's easy to bend around. And I put a set nail over here where I want to start. And then I'll put another one not too far away. They're preset with the nails about every 6 or 8 inches, I think. So I tend to put them a little bit closer than that when I install. See there, I missed one. Good thing I didn't miss the other way. So I want to be right about there, and then I'll put we'll put another 1 or 2 in here just to make sure it holds. I want to be careful not to smash a bunch of these pins down that are going to hold the carpet. So I always tend to just kind of go right in between them. Now, when I was installing carpet all the time, I had really heavy, hard calluses built up on my hand. I could grab this tack strip just about any way and not hurt myself, not puncture my skin. My hands have gotten quite soft. They're still pretty callous, but they're a lot softer than they used to be. So I have to be careful when I grab all this tack strip not to bloody myself up. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue all the way around the room. And I've set the tack strip down. And where I'm keeping my nails, in case you're curious, I have shirt pockets, and I always just keep them in my top shirt pocket where I can just grab one and go instead of carrying a nail bag around. Like I said, I'm being a little careful with the hammer. It used to be I just hit them one at a time and just go right down the road and not even think about it, but it's been a little bit rusty. It's been a while, so I have to be careful. So as I pound on this, I vacuumed the floor and I cleaned all the floor really good, but as I pound on the tack strip, you'll notice dirt it's up under the wall, starts to bounce out a little bit. After I pound on my tack strip, I'll come back and vacuum that up and get rid of all that. So I'm going to reset the camera and keep going around the room. Okay guys, I had planned out a really cool time lapse I was trying to do of me going around the room and nailing all the tack strip down. I was going to do the same thing with the pad, but my phone said no. I don't have enough storage space on it to do it, so I'm going to have to kind of chop this up a little bit. Luckily, I'm getting a new camera here right quick, and something I should be able to record better quality videos on, and with memory cards it can hold a lot more stuff. So our next step in this is to get the pad. Well, before I go to that, a couple of you might have noticed when I started pounding my tack strip, a couple of you that have maybe have done this before might have noticed I maybe was doing a couple of things wrong. One, I was using tin snips to cut my tack strip. They do make tack strip cutters specifically for cutting tack strip, and I have some, but I don't like them. I like my big tin snips better. I never have to sharpen them. I never have to change the blades, and they just cut right through. tack strip like butter, and I've been using that same pair of snips professionally for well over 20 years. In fact, probably close to 30 years on that same pair of snips. So I like those. And the other thing is that somebody might have noticed is that I pound my tack strip backwards for a right-handed person. Most people that are right-handed will start at the right side and go to the left so that they can hold their tack strip with their left hand and line it up as they go. My way does take a little bit longer doing it backwards, but the truth was, way back when I first started laying carpet, it was my stepdad's trade. He's the one I actually called Dad. So it was my dad's trade, and he taught me. I started with him when I was about 15 years old, I think. And I started working with him and with my stepbrother, his son. Well, my stepbrother, the one that actually taught me how to pound tack strip, is left-handed. So I just learned following him back before I really knew any different. And that's just the way I've always done it. It works good for me. So now we're going to get into laying the pad. You can see I've got a little bit rolled out here to start with. And what you want to do is you want to bring it over and you want to set it right up next to your tack strip, or real close to your tack strip. You don't want it overlapping the tack strip. And by the way, you can move it around a little bit with your feet without tearing the top if you're careful. And so what I want to do is go right to my tack strip everywhere. And whatever hangs over the tack strip, I will trim off. We don't want anything going up over the top of the tack strip. That's where the carpet goes. So I'm going to get this installed. I will install it by stapling it down into the wood floor all the way around the edges, and I'll show you a little bit of that real quick. I'll set this on the tripod and see if I get a couple shots of that real quick, and then I'll knock the room out real fast. This is going to be two pieces side by side. That other roll that I have there is more of this pad. I'll finish this little bit off to the closet doorway there, and then over here I'll put one other shot that goes the whole way across. I got a couple little more pieces of tack strip into this doorway where I'm going to be putting a nail stay as I stop the carpet there temporarily. So I'll turn the camera around and get set up and get going. By the way, here we're supporting breast cancer awareness by using this particular pad. Every purchase with this pad, the Smart Cushion by Mohawk, there's a donation. Part of the purchase price is a donation towards cancer cure. And so we love doing that if we can. This is also a really good pad. It's called a pet pad, all pad I think they call it, but it's got a moisture barrier on it. So we no longer have little dogs at home, unfortunately. We had 3 little miniature toy poodles, and they've passed away. They got really old, and unfortunately we've recently lost them, and that's been kind of hard. But we no longer have little dogs. I'm not saying we won't get one again, but this, in case somebody does have animals and dogs that, unfortunately, as a carpet layer, I know that most animals, dogs and cats, most of them actually do tend to make a little bit of a mess here and there once in a while. A lot of them are just really good at hiding it. But anyways, this pad's designed to stand up against that. It's also full of memory foam. It's a 1/2 inch thick, 8-pound pad. In other words, 8 pounds of resistance is about 1/2 inch thick, and that's really what my preferred pad. They used to make pads in all kinds of thicknesses. They don't anymore. They make them, I think, 7/16, maybe a 3/8, and then a 1/2 inch. Not much bigger than that. People used to ask me all the time, what about doubling up the pad? And I've never installed a job where I would do that. I've always told people no. It's just makes your carpet break down way too fast. Today's pads are designed to work really well under these the action back carpets that we're going to be putting down here. So I'll get started on the pad. Okay, so I added a little piece of pad to this end of that one shot, and I got to do another shot and slide it over. And how we do that is I go ahead and just bring the pad up here and line it up pretty close to the wall, and then roll it out. That's the roll. And then get it down here and just kind of eyeball where it goes on the side here. I'm going to do that by putting my hand right about where I want it to be. I'm going to roll it up on its end. And I'm going to come right up here with my razor knife. And I'm going to cut right to the back. Try to cut as straight as I can. Cut through there. There we go. Sorry guys, trying to do this one-handed and hold the camera in the other. And there you go. That'll do it. And I'll slide this piece out of the way and use it for the rest of my project. And I'll slide this up. I'll slide this other piece over into place. Slide it over there and trim it in. Okay, so I've gone ahead and slid one piece over. You notice we have some excess up this other wall. That's just fine. One thing to know about pad is not directional. Carpet is. This pad I can turn any direction I wanted to. If I wanted to take this piece that's laying like this and I want to turn like this and butt it up against this seam, I could do that. It wouldn't be a problem. As long as I don't overlap it as I install it, it can go any direction. It's not directional. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here and just start putting our seam together, and it's going to get a little bit loud. And that's about what I like to do. I like to set my staples about every 6 or 8 inches apart, and I'll go all the way up the seam and I'll go all the way around the edges and trim it in, and I'll show you that process. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay guys, so here we come to an area where we need to trim some of the pad down. It's going up over the tack strip, and anywhere it goes over the tack strip we're going to need to trim it down. It goes into this doorway here. And all we do to do that is we take a very sharp knife, a razor knife, and we find the tack strip here with the edge of our finger. You can feel where the tack strip's at through the pad, and you find the edge and you run your knife down in it and right up against the edge of that tack strip, and you draw it down right along the edge there. And then we'll come here, and it's okay if you overcut a little bit on the pad. We can fix that real easy, and just like that we'll take and we'll pound that down just like that, and then I will continue around the room there, get the rest of that off. So come back to you in a few minutes when it's all done. Okay guys, the padding's all down in the room now. I was wrong earlier when I mentioned the room was 21 feet long. It's actually only 20 feet long. And 20 feet goes from that wall there to that laminate edge, that edge of that laminate right there. That's the furthest point, and that's what we need to cut to. So since it's 20 feet, it's actually 20 feet and a half inch. I need just a little bit extra in order to trim everything in and make it all look nice and have room to trim after I stretch. So I'm going to take 20 feet 2 inches of carpet. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to run to the carpet store, which isn't too far away from here. And I'm going to run over there and get my piece of carpet cut, and maybe we can show you that as we go. And then we'll bring it back here, we'll roll it out in the room and start installing it. So let's go for a ride. Okay guys, here we are at the flooring warehouse where I have my carpet. This is my carpet that I'm standing on here. It's all crushed down because it's been rolled up on that roll for quite a while. But what it's going to look like when it blossoms, and that's what we call it when all the yarn actually stands up and has time to acclimate into the room it's going to go in, it's going to look something like that. I think we're going to be really happy with it. This is a really nice carpet. It's nice and thick. It's got a good hand to it, and it should be a nice piece of carpet. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get it cut. I said I needed 20 feet 2 inches, so I've set my end of my tape measure up there on the end of the carpet. I've come down here to 20 feet 2 inches, and I'm going to switch my knife out and get the other carpet knife. The knife we were using for the pad is basically a utility knife. The knife we're going to use for carpet, we call them a banana knife, and this is an old one. They make a lot of different styles and finishes and what have you. This is the kind I like. It's an old steel one. I put a brand new blade in the end. It kind of doesn't look like it's a little bit dusty. Brand new super sharp double-edged blade, and we're going to go ahead and make a little niche right at 20 foot 2 inches, and I'm going to set. So basically that's what I did, this little tiny cut, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'll show you what we do from there. Hey guys, at this point I want to just take a quick minute. This is kind of an afterthought. I should have told you about this earlier, but I want to just mention how important it is to be safe with what you're doing here.
Everything, all the tools that I use are either, in the carpet business, all the tools I use are either hot, heavy, or extremely sharp. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt. So, you know, make sure you're being real cautious, especially with using the knives and the stretcher and kicker and things that have sharp points on it. And then when we get into seaming in the next video, that seaming iron is extremely hot. And I've burned myself in the past, and I've cut myself good in the past with razor knives. Even the worst cut I got was after doing this for probably about 25 years. I dang near cut my thumb off. So you can slip, and you got to be really careful. You'll see me kind of use my knives what you might think is a little haphazardly, and maybe it is, but it's the way I'm accustomed to using them. I've been doing it a long time. But make sure you take extra caution with these things. And now we'll get back to the rest of the video. I made niches on both sides of the roll, and then I just rolled it back up onto what we call the stinger, onto the pole. I've got it sitting on a forklift right now, on the stinger part of the forklift. So there's a niche here, and there's a niche at the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chalk line and awl that I have, and use the awl as a second hand down here to hold the end of the chalk line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chalk line and just through my end of my chalk line, I'm going to stick my awl, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick this. I'm going to go and stick that right into the edge of the carpet like that, and that holds my chalk line in place. And then I'm going to slowly pull my chalk line. Now this is blue chalk, so we want to be careful not to get chalk all over our new carpet. So I'll pull it down to this side, and I'll grab it with my hand, pull it tight, and all I did was grab the string and pull on it and snap it against the carpet, and we left a blue line on there. That blue line is what I'll cut against, and I'll show you that in just a second. I didn't stop to think when I said I was going to show you guys how to do carpet that it was going to be such a pain doing everything one-handed. And I'm glad I'm not a one-armed carpet layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run my knife right along that blue line. I'm going to be careful not to cut through more than one layer of carpet. This carpet's pretty thick. As you can see there, it's quite thick, so I don't have to be extremely careful unless I'm pushing really hard. But I just start in that little groove, and I draw the knife right down my line. And I'll finish my cut off from the other side. And just like that, we've got our cut. So I will take and roll this piece up, always remembering the carpet does have a direction. The nap on this carpet lays this way. It lays towards that edge right up there. I always want to, so you'll know that because when you pull it back, it stands right up. When you lay it down, go the other way, it lays back smooth. You always want to run the direction of your carpet the same way, and when you can, you always want to run it so you're looking into the nap of the carpet when you walk into a room. And I'll show you more of that when we get it over to the house and get it laid out. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and roll this up and put it in my truck and head it over to the house. You can see, as if you look here, we had quite a bit we could have picked from, or we could have ordered some stuff in, but this is what we chose. We really like this piece. I've worked with this piece in the past, and it's a really good performing piece. So we'll see you in here in the next segment. Okay guys, so I've got the carpet laid out in the room, setting where I want it to. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and rough cut some of these edges down. I'll cut that down a little bit. I'll cut this here and here, and then I'll line down across the carpet that way so I can fold these pieces back into these rooms. Even though we're not going to be installing them right now, I need to get them in and out of the way so I can start stretching this main room in. I've left a little bit of gap on this side. It's kind of hard to see, but just a little bit of gap. It's actually quite a bit more than what the yarn's showing. It's close to, it's a good ½ inch and maybe a little bit more. I've left it away from that wall that's the wall I'm going to stretch into. So instead of having to trim off carpet along the edge when I'm done, I'll be able to stretch it that way, tuck it down into the edge, and it'll be a finished edge as I go. I will set this other wall over here. So when you stretch carpet, you have set walls and you have stretch walls. And you always want to stretch two directions, at least two directions. So I will set along this edge, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then I'll stretch right across there, and I'll set all that area. And then I will set all this along back here. I'll put a couple nail stays in front of these doors. And then I'll come back and I'll stretch to that window, and I'll angle stretch over that way from the center of the room, and I'll angle stretch over that way from the center of the room. And then I'll come back and I'll set this entire wall, and then I'll come back and I'll straight stretch all the way across there. And what that will allow me to do is it fans out the carpet and stretches both ways and keeps everything nice and tight both directions. I'll show you that as we go. From now I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. That's going to be, I'll set up the camera so you can see a little bit of that. I don't know how much I'll be able to catch, but we'll go from there. Okay, I'll show you a little bit about how I'm going to cut this in a little. Just going to start here, and I'm leaving myself a little bit extra, plenty to be able to trim when I get done here. I don't want to cut all the way to this edge yet because I'm going to stretch that way, and I don't want to pull past this doorway. But I can cut a little ways in, and it's going to be just fine. And then what I need to do is I need to cut along where this wall runs right here, and I need to make some niches in my carpet and go from there. A lot of times I'll just use my knife and kind of measure where I want to be. And I know that wall is pretty wide, so I'll kind of cut in the middle. I'll go right about in here. A lot of this is just because I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing, but I'll show you another way to do it real fast. So what we'll do is I'll measure and make sure I'm good there. So that shows about 3 inches, 3 3/4 inches, and I'm about 6 there. I want to make sure I don't overcut back here. So I know I need to be about 18 inches from there, which puts me here, which puts me right where I want to be. And so what I'll do in order to make sure that's a straight cut all the way across there is I'll measure from this other end of the carpet to that niche, and that's 75 inches. Turn the camera just a little bit, hopefully you can see this. So I'll come down here, and I'll go 75 inches here, and I'll make another little niche. And this doesn't have to be precise, guys. Just close. And then I'll take my straight edge. This is a professional carpet straight edge, and I will put it across those 2 points. Put it from that niche to this niche, and then I'll make a cut. And when we're done, that should leave us right where we want to be. So I will get the rest of this cut down and go from there. Okay guys, I've got the carpet very roughly cut in and laid out the way I want it. Threw the excess back up in the little hallway and in the closet there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this area here, this corner, all along there. I'm going to go ahead and set that so that I can stretch straight across to that wall like I said I was going to do. One thing I did as soon as I got here in the house, in this part of the country where I live, it's already starting to get a little bit chilly outside, a little cold. So the first thing I did when I got into the house is I cranked the heat up to about 75 degrees, which is warmer than I like to work, but the carpet likes it. It stretches much better the warmer it is, and if you can get warmer than that, if you can get to 80, that's great too. Me, I can't stand working in it that hot. And I can get a really good stretch on it if I get up to 75 degrees. So the first thing I did when I got here was I cranked the heat up, and before I even started unrolling the carpet. So I'll show you how to do that part real quick. I got to set the camera back up on a tripod, and I'll show you how I'm going to set that and how we're going to start stretching. I'll get set up for that and be back in just a sec. Okay guys, remember how I said I just use a knee kicker to get things in place, in their proper place, and that includes just setting a wall. So this is how we do it. This is a stair tool, and this is a tucking knife. At least that's what we call them. This is actually probably called a linoleum knife. And then my kicker, I get my teeth all the way out on my kicker. Some pretty serious teeth on that. You want to be careful, make sure that's always down. And then the other carpet joke is always make sure you got the fuzzy side up when it comes to the carpet instead of down. So what we're going to do is we'll just give it a light little bump and then rake that in. And a lot of guys will take and they'll tuck it just like that as they go. But I find that raking it works good enough for me most of the time. Get a little bump into the corner. And that's it. That wall is set. A little pucker there, but and what I normally do is I go ahead and trim this in. Trim this in and tuck it in before I even start stretching. A lot of guys won't. I do. I know that even if I were to make a mistake and pull away from this wall with it tucked in, I can always turn around and stretch back into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all cut in, and all I do is I grab the carpet, I pull it back to get very close to the wall. I'm careful not to pull it off the tack strip. Very close to the wall, just close enough to be able to tuck that in. And this is where it comes in handy having that tack strip or that baseboard lifted up just a little bit. And I may have to go back up and touch some of this up with a little bit of paint later, but that's okay. So anyways, I'll get this finished cutting it out and I'll set the stretcher up and show you where we go from there. Okay guys, here's the stretcher set up. This is my carpet stretcher on the floor. And what I like to do is on the end of the stretcher where I put one pole against the back wall is I have this carpeted 4x4 that I've wrapped carpet around, stapled it. This is something I did probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It's really old. But I put that against the wall to protect it, and then I stretch against that. That gives me a much longer space across the wall to span out the amount of pressure I'm putting against the wall and against the baseboard. I've actually pushed walls over, or pushed walls out. I shouldn't say pushed them over, but pushed them off of their foundation with this power stretcher. It's got a lot of power. So I put this board across here, and what that does is it allows me to be fairly sure, it's 8 feet long, it allows me to be fairly sure I'm catching at least a couple of nails that would be anchored in through the plate in the wall into the floor. So hopefully that works. I've never had a problem with it as long as I'm using the board. So I will set up here and show you how I stretch. It's going to be kind of funny because I don't stretch. You'd be looking at my back normally if I stretched from this direction, but I'll get on the other side so you can see what I'm doing real quick. You can see how much movement we're going to get out of that. And I don't know if you can hear it, but you can even hear the wall popping a little bit behind me. This thing puts a lot of pressure on the carpet, and you can tell I'm up plenty far enough that I can tuck that in and tuck it down under that tack strip and not have to worry about it coming out. I won't tuck it all the way under yet because on the next stretch a lot of times it'll pop up a little bit because this is the very first stretch. It's where it's going to start moving the most. The next one may pull that up a little bit, but we'll find out here in just a second. And I usually like to stretch about 2 stretcher head widths for a set stretch. So that was one, and then this will be the second one. And that's plenty of stretch. I've got quite a bit of movement on that. This was probably a good 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch away from the wall before I started, and now I'm up the wall. So I'll take that down and I'll go ahead and tuck it in now. Not all the way, but about that far. And I can set this area here. Just like that, I can release the stretch, and that is good and tight. It's kind of hard to tell from just that how tight it is, but it'll really tighten up when I stretch the other way. But that's pretty tight. It's almost like a drum head. So I'll finish setting that entire wall, put some nail stays in the floor, and then we'll turn around and start going the other way, and I'll show you when I get to that point. Okay guys, now we're set up to go ahead and stretch lengthwise across the room. I've got my big 4x4 carpeted board here. I call that a stretcher board. And then I've got my poles put together, and my stretcher head is up there. The carpet stretcher comes with several pulls and are all adjustable, so we can actually get out quite a ways. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of available space left on my phone's memory, so I'm not going to be able to show you in as much detail as I'd like to what we're trying to do today, but in the next video I'll get more detail. So I'll finish showing you a little bit more as I can here, and then it's basically just a rinse and repeat. We're going to stretch here. I'm going to stretch straight to the center of that window where I have the stretcher head sitting at now. I'm going to angle slightly straight from the center of the room. The back of the pole is going to stay right where it is, the center of the room. And then I'll just slide the head across all the way to the left and then all the way to the right. And then I'll come back and I'll set this whole wall back here where we started. We started right here in this corner. I'll set this entire wall, the rest of it after I stretch down that way. And then we'll come back where we started our first stretches on that side, and we'll stretch straight across the room all the way up to that end. Then we'll trim everything in and tuck it in. And then I want to save a little bit of time on my phone here. I've only got a couple minutes left to show you how we're going to cut out the heat registers. There's one there, and there's one up there where the stretcher head sits. So I'll show you a little bit more, and then I'll catch up with you when we do the heat registers. Okay guys, this is one more thing I should show you. This is a carpet trimmer, and we can hand cut the edges in like what I showed you a few minutes ago, but this makes things a whole lot faster. There's a razor blade right in here, and another one that goes on this other side. I've only got one in now because I'm only going to go one direction. You set this along the wall and just slide it along, and it cuts that carpet the right height as long as you have it adjusted right. There's quite a bit of adjustment here, so I'll show you that real quick. So this makes things go quite a bit faster. It's not necessary. I've done whole jobs and never touched this thing before, but it does make things go quite a bit faster. I'm not sure if you can rent these or not. I imagine you probably can. But this is our next set wall that I'm trimming in now. So this will be the last set wall. We've already got stretched lengthwise. Now we need to finish stretching side to side. But one other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick is how to cut in a corner. So let me get this face focused on the corner. Let's see if I can get out of the shot. So corners aren't that tough. But I usually come about this far in. I'm not pulling the carpet off the tack strip. I'm just folding it back from the wall a little bit. And I'm cutting to where I just barely touch the wall on the end of my cut. And I'll do both sides that way. I've still got the carpet trimmer sitting here to my left. It's a couple of feet that I can finish sliding this way after I get this cut in. So you get to that point, and then I take and I tuck a little bit of it in there, a little bit of it in there, and that's just to make sure that I don't pull it up off the tack strip when I fold this part back just a little to be able to cut this way and then cut this way. Well, I didn't get that cut far enough this other way. We want to cut that back, and we want to cut this way. And that makes a nice, looks like it's sticking up a little bit, but it tucks in there real nice. And that's a nice finished corner. And then we'll just slide our trimmer the rest of the way along. If I slid it all the way across and popped out there, it could pull the carpet off the tack strip. I don't want to do that. So that's it. That's how you do a corner, and that's how you run a carpet trimmer. I'll come back and show you how we do the vent registers. Okay guys, I mentioned I was going to show you how to cut out these heat registers. And all you do is you feel for all this is really hard, you feel for the soft spot, the spot that obviously there's nothing under. And you kind of feel for the edges of where the register's at. And they're here and they're here, and I can feel them. But what you do is you just find the center of it and make a cut right down the middle. And I turn the heater off so I don't have a bunch of carpet fuzzies blowing up in my face. We're done stretching, so I don't need to worry about that. And you cut right to the edge of where the metal's at, and then you follow that along with your knife where the ductwork's coming up from the floor. We just follow that along with our knife both ways. And don't want to overcut because we don't want to be we don't want to cut too far. We'll end up making a mess here that we'll have to seam carpet back together to fix. But all you do is you cut that flap out like that, get down right along the edge. Sorry guys, that's all the memory I had left on my phone. And it's gonna die again here right quick. That's it for today. On the next segment of this series of how to install a carpet, I will be using a different system so that I can take more time with this and be a little more detailed with the things I show you. Sorry we kind of hurried through this at the end there. That's the best I can do with this particular phone. I will get I have a better camera. It's actually on the way, and it holds memory cards and what have you, and it'll have better video, better audio quality than my smartphone does. So looking forward to doing that. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments below. I'll answer any questions that I can. If you disagree with the way I did something, let me know why. And maybe you have different tricks and ideas than what I do. I'm always happy to learn something new, and I'm just fine with being corrected as well. So if you guys would, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing some more giveaways pretty soon, and that'll be coming up soon. I want to kind of experiment with doing some how-to videos as well, and so we'll just kind of see how things go. I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.